Shalom everybody. Constantine. All you need to know about the founder of the pagan religion Christianity. Constantine. Emperor of Roman Empire. Designer of hybrid religion. Moved empire's capital to Constantinople. Founder of Catholicism. The first Catholic pope and a synchronizing compromiser. Christianity slowly developed at the Catechetical School of Alexandria, Egypt, over several hundred years ago. Beginning in about 190 CE, the head and founder of this first school of Christianity was Pontanus, and over time other men became the headmasters, such as Clement, Origen, Ephanius, Tertullian, Augustine, and so on. These are called the fathers of the church, and yet in their writings they described a sect called the Nazarene, who are the first followers of Yahusha, the Mashiach. See Acts chapter 24, verse 5. These fathers, called the Nazarene, heretics, because the Nazarene were teaching and obeying the commandments of Yahuwah. From the school of Alexandria, bishops were spawned who promoted doctrinal control, and these Nicolaitans propagated a hierarchical ruling class that controlled all teachings. The stage was set for a centralized, fascist corporate entity to arise. The opportunity appeared when a man was universal, with universal power, seized control over religious beliefs. That man was Constantine. Constantine brought this empire together, universalizing, Catholicizing the diverse religious traditions through special councils and official edicts. His empire was fractured with many different religious systems, so he ought to invent a religion that would appeal to everyone and thus bring peace. Sunday was declared a day of rest, which appeased the majority, which were pagan sun worshippers. Easter, Ishtar, Ashara, was another familiar pagan festival, which he mixed up with the resurrection of Israel's Messiah, Yahusha. Bringing together many religions into one, he produced the first hybrid system, which Scripture represented as a multi-headed beast. The various heads of the beast are the many pagan religions brought together into one functioning entity. Syncretism, supersessionism, and replacement theology are all related efforts to this universal religious merger. Supersessionism, according to supersessionism, also sometimes called replacement theology, the bloodlines of Israel are either no longer considered to be Yahuwah's chosen people, or their proper calling is frustrated pending their acceptance of Yahusha as the promised Messiah. Wikipedia: supersessionism is entirely a Gentile's appraisal of the situation and seriously flawed. Syncretism is the attempt to reconcile disparate, even opposing beliefs, and to meld practices of various schools of thought. It is especially associated with the attempt to merge and analyze several originally discrete traditions, especially in the theology and mythology of religion, and thus assert an underlying unity. Wikipedia. Between the coming of Yahusha HaMashiach and Constantine, A period of almost 300 years, a slow transformation occurred. The faith went from the religion of Yahusha to a religion about Yahusha. But really, ours is more than a religion. We are citizens in a kingdom, a government over a people, Israel. And we obey the instructions for living which Yahusha has given to us, out of our trust and love for him, our king. Our constitution or wedding vows is the covenant, the 10 words or the 10 commandments. And we will rule with Yahusha if we are found to be worthy servants of our king. Yes, he is also our high priest. But what we have to do with is much more than simply a religion. Hebrew elements, especially the words of Yahuwah, his commandments, were railed against by the revisionist, anti-Semitic church fathers. Constantine's revisionism began a process melding paganism together with the Messiah of Israel, hybridizing paganism with the truth. Borrowed pagan processes poisoned humanity so severely, and tyranny reigned so supremely that the period from Constantine and the Reformation has been dubbed the Dark Ages. The only Christian game on the planet was Catholicism for over 1,000 years. The Knights Templar, Opus Dei, Frere Macon, the Illuminati, the Jesuits, and the Inquisition were the ultimate fruit of this dark Nicolaitan organization begat by Constantine. The Roman Catholic Church, its primary goal or agenda has been to move its capital from Rome to Jerusalem. Today, the Nazarene are arising on the hills of Ephraim, among the nations. Jeremiah chapter 31. We are the watchmen, Nazarene, who are working to restore the original paths and repair the breach. Constantine made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. He didn't adopt a religion, but built it out of already existing ones to bring peace to his empire. His goal was to universalize the diverse beliefs into one state-sponsored religion that would appease the majority of those he ruled, and that majority was like himself, pagan. Catholic is Latin for universal. He is a saint to the Catholic universal hierarchy, yet he murdered several members of his family and close friends. One important tip to remember: people don't get to decide who get to be a saint. It's a choice we make individually, and hangs on only one requirement: that we obey the covenant Yahuwah provided for us. Also, it's entirely necessary to be a saint while you're alive and living among us. If you intend to be a saint at any later time, the way you can distinguish between who is a saint and who isn't is by whether or not they keep the commandments of Yahuwah. As Emperor of Rome, Constantine inherited the titles of the Caesars, including Pontifex Maximus and the title of Pope. Our father of the empire, the title Pope, was bestowed upon Caesar, who was a priest and a king. Caesar's position was one of absolute power and authority. The concept of fascism was born from Caesar's totalitarian reign over both moral and secular aspects. His decisions were not questioned. He sat as an all-wise shaman priest and was the high priest of Janus, but he was also considered to be Elohim. Even his image had to be bowed to as a person would enter a public building. In his presence, a person had to genuflect before him, just as we see the Roman Catholic institution requires of the devotees in their pagan temples. It is customary for visitors to bow on one knee and kiss the ring of the Pope today. Constantine would officially be the first Pope of the Catholic Christian Church, since no bishop of Rome ever conceived of such a title as Pope being associated with himself. Neither were there any other elders, bishops, anywhere else thinking they were the head of any earthly reign over the body of Mashiach. The following poster is intended to be humorous, not judgmental of the dead emperor Constantine. Hopefully, it will put into perspective the fact that he and several others ruled the world from the grave by the changes they imposed on us long ago. Emperor Constantine established Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire. The word Christianity is not found in Scripture. Neither is there such a religion known from Genesis to Revelation. Before the First Church Council in the year 325 at Nicene Council, he instituted the Edict of Constantine, 321 CE. This edict compelled the entire empire, to observe the day of the sun as a day of rest from work, to give honor to the sun deity. Only farmers were exempted from certain duties, and it was enforced under penalty of death. This is carried over in the blue laws, seen in governmental legislation worldwide today. In spite of his tolerant attitude toward Christianity and his apparent conversion to some level of belief and practice of it, Constantine continued to mint coins in honor of Sol Invictus, the Roman sun deity, until at least 335 CE. Rebellion is as witchcraft, but witchcraft, satanic sun worship, is definitely witchcraft. Nimrod is as Nimrod does. At the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, Constantine presided with his son over a body of messianic elders. They formulated universal, empire-wide dogmas concerning Arianism. Perceived as a hearsay over the nature of the Trinity, this council also established the universal observance of Easter, a formerly pagan observance brought over and disguised as an annual celebration of the resurrection of Yahusha. What's wrong with Christianity? My brothers, if one of you shall wander from the truth, and someone should bring him back, remember this: whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save him from death and cover over a multitude of sins. James chapter 5, verse 19 and 20. You can help people get straightened out. You may know many of the things contained on this page, but perhaps if they are presented to you clearly enough, you may agree with the unquestionable conclusion that the word has strayed far from the faith once delivered to the saints. But if you honestly feel these facts are incorrect, point out the mistakes, and I'll receive a true blessing for having learned the truth. Or, if Yahuwah doesn't mind that we've changed a few things, then all I really need is scriptural evidence, and I'll fall right in line behind what those scriptures teach us. Piecing together the true facts on the development of what we have come to believe is often not pursued by the average person. We can see what's wrong with the other religions of the world easily, because we look at their development. But what about Christianity? Are there facts to uncover that may reveal any errors of the past? Well, yes, there are. considered the Sabbath. Some foundational errors may be found in the writings of Constantine's historian Eusebius, who wrote the ecclesiastical history and recorded the life of the blessed Emperor Constantine. The RCC and the Protestants considered Eusebius, Eusebius, I don't know if I said that right, to be a church father. But the official outlawing of the seventh-day Sabbath was through the Council of Laodicea in Phrygia Pacatiana, 364 AD. Phrygia Pacatiana, and 364 AD. Canon XXIX. Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day, rather honoring the Lord's Day, and if they can, resting then as Christians. But if any shall be found to be Judaizers, let them be anathema for Christ. Judaize? Is Yahusha a Judaizer? Did he give Israel the Torah? There's one body of Messiah, not two. And Yahusha is the Messiah of Israel. So why would an Israelite have to change their way of living, religion, to accept their own Messiah? If we are to walk as Yahusha walked, it would be hard to explain why we would not have a Passover or Sabbath day, the real one, or the appointed festivals he lived by, and as Elohim gave them to Israel. Also, it is far more likely that Goliath of Gath had an Easter basket and a solstice than our Messiah did. After all, these items are rooted in idolatry, not the Torah of Yahuwah. The universalizing of the diverse religions of the Romans had its effect. Constantine started the ball rolling, the goal being to purge the new faith of all remnants of the Laodicea Yehudim Jews. It was altered beyond all recognition. If only the pagan elements in Christianity burned people like hot sauce, maybe then they would notice them. From the writings of Eusebius, we have the result of Constantine's edict in 321 CE, clearly shown to us. The writings of Eusebius. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. All things whatsoever that it was duty to do on the Sabbath, these we have transferred to the Lord's Day, Lord being Baal. Eusebius' commentary on the Psalms, quoted by Moses Stewart, Commentary on the Apocalypse, Volume 2, 940. That statement shows that Constantine indeed was transferring the duties of the Sabbath to Sunday. It was an edict enforced under the pain of death. When Yahusha told us, pray that your flight not be in winter or on a Sabbath. Matthew chapter 24. Do you imagine he was only talking to future Judaizers that may still be clinging to the non-Catholic era of resting on the real Sabbath? If we were trying to solve a mystery or a calculus formula, we'd make certain of getting the correct answer, no matter how many variables they were. Yahuwah does not change or vary his ways. Yet people can't seem to solve the most simple of puzzles concerning how the true Sabbath became Saturday and the pagans' day of the sun became Rome's day of rest. Constantine did not outlaw pagans pagan practices in the least, but universalized the diverse beliefs of his empire. Constantine's Edict of Milan, 313 of Milan, Constantine's Edict of Milan, 313, outlawed the persecution of foreign religions. Several agnostic forms of what was to become known as Christianity were still in their primitive stages. There were also Nazarene, the sect within the Israelite faith that remained faithful to the Torah and kept close guard over the commandments, while believing in Yahusha faithfully. This edict of proclamation of Milan established a toleration for foreign religions, which included the Nazarene and related agnostic sects. People who would otherwise be arrested and sentenced to death became protected by this edict. The Edict of Constantine, 321, established the Sun Day as the day of rest for the empire, and carried the death penalty for violations. Farmers were exempted if they had to conduct their duties, but urban dwellers were expected to honor the sun by resting. Nazarene living at that time had to rest on both days, and so this produced the weekend. We have now in the Western world. Eventually, the state religion, Catholicism, outlawed resting on the true Sabbath and persecuted the Nazarene for it. Aphenius is one church father that wrote of the Nazarene, referring to them as heretics because they continued to obey the Ten Commandments. The change of the day of rest was predicted to occur at Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. This beast thought to change times and law, but the end of the times of the Gentiles will be very soon. This was all you needed to know about Constantine. My brothers, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring him back, remember this: whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save him from death and cover over a multitude of sins. James chapter 5 verse 19 and 20. This is Constantine. Shalom, everybody.